What's up, everybody? This is another episode of the Toy Photographers Podcast. This is the episode you're looking for. It is the 1/6 shooter episode, aka Trevor Williams. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, I'm so excited. This is an episode I personally have been looking forward to for a long time. I'm so glad you're a supporter of the podcast. So it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
Love it, man. You've been doing a great job. It's really been fun to hear everybody, people that I've known but haven't really heard their voice or met in person. So it's been really cool to listen to it.
Thank you, man. I just personally get so much out of these episodes and this podcast. So maybe it's selfish, I don't know, but I feel like everybody else that's been on here is I just love to re-listen to them. I think I've listened to each one multiple times just to get so much out of it. But
I bet. Yeah,
me
too.
Man.
I've listened to a bunch of them a couple of times. Yeah.
Awesome, dude. So I know you've been doing photography, or toy photography for a while, but what's the actual start date for you? When did you start?
It's a little blurry, but I think it was in 2015, but like I picked up some figure, like I collected a few 1/6 figures and some other little, like, Batman the animated series or the Dark Knight figures, I think, at some point, and just stuff to put on my desk at work. But when I started getting into the 1/6 stuff, I got into a community, sideshow collectors that, people would post pictures of stuff they just picked up. So I started doing that, and, I had a couple on my desk. I'd pose them a little bit. And then as I got posing them, I'm like, oh, this could be cool. I could take this to another level. I could put these in front of a background. I know Photoshop. I could Photoshop them in. I could do it on green screen. And here I'm thinking I'm coming up with something completely new and original. And meanwhile, I wasn't on IG and I didn't see any of this stuff. So, it was probably like 2015 at some point. I started to really play with it a little bit more, and I think I posted to IG in like early 2016 or something like that. So it's only been like 3 or 4 years.
So were you on Instagram before you started doing toy photography?
I was, but it was all those, it was vacation photos and stuff. I didn't really use it, back then that's what it was. It was like, take some snapshots, put a filter on it, throw it up. Wasn't really using it to any kind of effect for social recognition, or I didn't really have a lot of friends on there or people that I really connected with on there. So it was, pictures of my dog and stuff. So
Gotcha. Kind of like a Facebook alternative.
It really was. Yeah, it really was. And then, I posted a couple pictures, and then I started to see, I was like, I couldn't believe all the people that were doing this. So it was like, this is something I thought, is, it's a handful of people we're probably going to be doing at that. And then I started seeing the groups and the tags and the sessions and all that stuff. And I was like, wow, this is a thing. This is actually a thing. Amazing.
Did you have a background in photography before you started doing this?
So I'm a creative director, and so advertising is my background. So part of what I've had to do in the past is art direct photography. First of all, professional photographers at the time. And then occasionally I'd have to go into the back room and, take some shots of some products that we didn't have the budget to do, a pro shoot for. So, when it came to that, I learned kind of by need, basically.
Gotcha.
And I think I've learned a lot more since then. I've gotten deeper into the lighting and things like that since then. But I could do basic stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So you started researching a little more as you got into the toy photography side. Did you have a DSLR when you first started?
Real old one. But I quickly upgraded, and I studied more. I got a lot of videos. I bought some things, some video creative live and things like that for portraiture lighting and things like that, which that aspect of it for me is really my favorite part of it is the lighting and playing with the light. So I'm really if I've studied anything, it's been a lot of that since I started.
Whenever you first started out, did you have anybody that really influenced your work?
In the toy photography community?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there was a lot. I'm sure a lot of people did. I don't think I could point to anybody in particular that I can remember that. I mean, I got to know people pretty quickly. Tony, Passage to Alderaan, Jason, worked more or less. Spencer, I got to know all those guys pretty quickly. We kind of jumped in. ExClue came along like a year later, the ExClue Collective, ExClueCollective.com. And I got involved with that. So I kind of got to know those guys through there. And they've always been influences. A lot of people. Tom's Iwatu is a good friend of mine. He's always an inspiration. But at the time, I think it was just I was taking in so much. Like I couldn't believe all this stuff was out there, and like just learning by seeing what people were doing. It was interesting. Like, you know, when you start out, you don't know, are you going to do the practical aspect? Are you going to do the Photoshop thing? Are you going to be, you know, more of an illustrator that puts figures on top of a green screen? And you know what I mean? So there was a lot of that stuff that I was just taking in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you incorporate like almost every single aspect in every kind of approach to toy photography. So do you feel like there's one that you gravitate towards more than another?
You know, this is what I was thinking about earlier, actually, in the day that we were just talking about. But yeah, like it's interesting. So I started out, I think, because I know Photoshop. Like I've been using Photoshop since, I'm going to date myself, but like version number 2, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I know it pretty well, and I started out doing things where I would, you know, take them on a blank screen, take a shot of a figure, and then superimpose it onto a backdrop, do all sorts of effects. And then I would do other things where I would like create an environment and shoot them in a you know, a kind of a scratch built diorama, you know, at the time. So it was a mix of things. And then I got, you know, looking more at other people's work. And that's an interesting thing. Like, do you go the route of, you know, the practical? I saw a lot of people throwing around the word practical, and I'm like, okay, this seems to be a big thing. Like, why are people touting the fact that they're doing practical effects and practical photography? And to me, it was kind of like, wow, is everybody just negative Photoshop, like anti-Photoshop? Because people do things with Photoshop that's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't done as much of it lately, but there was a couple things that I've shown people that, like, I tell you, like 60% of this is Photoshop. This entire backdrop is Photoshop. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty incredible. I'm like, yeah, you can do this kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't take that as, you know, being any less photography than practical effects. I guess you could call it more photographic illustration. And that's an interesting thing for me, just to look at that stuff and the different way the community looks at certain, the way people do certain things. And is it photography? Is it not photography? You know, the ACBA thing, they're kind of anti-Photoshop, all practical. I don't know. It's different approaches, and I find them all interesting, and I want to do them all. You know?
And I find that the people that are the purists, and I love the people that do the ACBA stuff because they are so good at what they do and they think outside the box. But I feel like sometimes the purists, they miss out on a lot of sometimes you can stretch yourself as an artist implementing different techniques like Photoshop or Lightroom, and you can grow yourself and learn new things. So what are your thoughts on that? Like,
yeah, I you know, when I first got into ACBA, joined that group, I was a little like, you know, I felt like this is not my term, but somebody said like it's like the Amish of toy photography, which I found really funny. It's not disparaging, but it is basically like, you know, you do with what you have practically and on the table, and you know, if you want a lightsaber effect, you better light it with a laser. or somebody's going to call you on it, you know. Now, come to find out, it's not as harsh as all that, and a little bit of Photoshop is fine. They're okay with that. I edit everything in Photoshop, so but I do find myself doing, once I got into it, doing more figuring out like how to hide a stand in a shot as opposed to, well, I'll just Photoshop that out.
Yeah.
But yes, to your point, there are reasons to do that, and sometimes a shot demands that you have this like a figure flying in the air, and it's fine that you've got maybe cotton smoke or something coming up from behind him to hide a stand, but it's also fine that you take it into Photoshop and take that out, and it's a better picture for it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's just an approach. Like Simon Hill, he's a master of that, and his shots show that. I mean, I think the approach is part of the art. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Almost, that's his style, and it's part of that. But I don't find myself needing to tie myself to one approach. You know what I mean? I think multiple. Definitely. I'm more about what the end result and the end photo is going to be like. And is it going to be a better photo if I have to Photoshop out a stand, you know, or add some smoke, you know, whatever.
It reminds me a lot of like the people who love the prequels and the people who hate the prequels, because Lucas used so much green screen and versus the original trilogy.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, and that has its benefits and its, you know, obviously the prequels have their detractors for that. I always thought it was a little overdone, but I think it was the time it was done.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's a good point. It can be done well, or it can be done badly. Like you can do Photoshop and you can do a bad job with Photoshop and it will show in the end picture. You can do all ACBA and you could do a bad job with some of that. And it, you know, the end result is going to show that. So I say, do what makes the picture good. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You know, if it calls for a little bit of Photoshop, I don't think a practical lightsaber is just, it's not going to look good. It's just not going to look good.
That's true. I like to call you by what, you know, you've kind of like coined this as the quality versus quantity statement. And you definitely emulate and try to perfect that. Is that something that you focus on more, is trying to post like only the best thing that you can produce versus kind of posting frequently every single day? Like what's your philosophy on that?
I would love to post every single day. I just don't have the time to do it. And yeah, I don't want to post anything. I think Tom was talking about this. Everybody's sort of talked about this in some regard, but I think Tom and I are on par with the amount of things that we have sort of thrown in the trash can that just didn't meet our quality, you know, needs. And that's just a personal thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could throw some of this stuff up and people would go, that's a good picture. You know, it's not great, but that's fine, you know?
Yep.
But I just don't, if I'm not loving it, if it's not what I had in my head, I'm just not going to post it. So yeah, I would rather do something that I also get a little, I don't want to get too deep, but I get a little bored doing the same thing over and over again. So I like to try new things, new lighting techniques, new lighting setups. So, you know, I like to try different things, and it takes me longer to do a little bit of that. So yeah. I mean, quality over quantity is kind of a motto. Yeah. I mean, I just don't want to post stuff for the sake of posting. It kills me with the Instagram algorithm and stuff, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care.
How often do you shoot during the week?
I shoot a lot, but not all of the stuff. So I shoot for, there's a company I shoot for. I do some stuff for reviews. So not all of it is based on getting it up on Instagram and getting a post up. So, but I would shoot 4 or 5 times a week, I think. Generally after I'm done working and I go downstairs into the studio and if it hits me, if I'm not cleaning up, after the last shot,
Yeah.
I'll get something done. But yeah, it takes me a while. And I know that's another question that you usually ask people is how long does it take?
Yeah. What's the ratio, I'm curious, of shots that you do for yourself versus ones you do for companies?
Not much. I mean, the company stuff is minimal right now. I got something coming up that it was probably going to take a little more time, but it's stuff that if I have a figure to shoot, so I've done some stuff for QMX, who's done the Star Trek figures, the Princess Bride, and I'm shooting something else for them right now. And the thing with those things is they're generally prototypes, and the you could get like a hand that just isn't quite ready to go. It's not ready for prime time, so you've got to
Really?
you got to blue tack that on, and then you got to Photoshop that out later, and it's constantly drooping while you're shooting. You know what I mean? So you got to really fix that. So a lot of them can be a little touchy. You know what I mean? And they're just not ready. The head's not fitting correctly, so you got to blue tack that and getting it to be So I mean, they're tricky, so it's difficult. So when I do that kind of stuff, that can take up a lot of my time, especially when you're doing it for a client. They've got a deadline, you've got to get that done. Everything else has to go to the wayside before you can get back to shooting on Instagram. So
when they send you a figure, do they send you like the box and everything, or how do they do that? Because I've always wondered.
No, I mean, generally with that stuff, it's in a cobbled box. The artwork is not finished yet. Usually what I'm shooting is for the artwork, like the box artwork. So
Gotcha.
like a lot of my shots are on the cover of the Star Trek figures, which is cool.
That is cool.
But yeah, I mean, and like I said, it's like you might have to Photoshop something because it's not finished, or they're asking if I can use the hand from another figure, because they just don't have it ready or whatever. But I mean, for the most part, they're pretty good. But sometimes they're a little rough around the edges.
What's your favorite company to shoot for?
In terms of work, or in terms of just like products, just
enjoyment,
enjoyment. Line, or I'm sorry, I'm going to be granular, but like I love shooting, like, well, I've done a lot of reviews on Asmus toys, the Lord of the Rings line, and I love shooting those things. They're great. They're just really well done. The clothing is beautiful. The lighting that you can do on Lord of the Rings is, it's just fun. It's it's always interesting. There's always varied environments that you can shoot them in, so those are always fun. Yeah.
How excited are you for the new Amazon series?
Yeah, I haven't read. Is there more detail out about that? Because like I'm like, what are they going to do? Are they doing the Children of Huron, or what? Or what is it going to be? Like, is it going to be Lord of the Rings all over again, just done as a series?
Well, it's the second age, as far as I know. They've cast the main cast now, and I want to say they're supposed to be doing some young Aragorn stuff.
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm one of the interviews I saw recently that it's a whole new storyline. It's nothing in the Silmarillion, nothing. Yeah, like it's totally new ground they're breaking. So
gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering, like, what are they gonna do? It's got to be something just based on lore, or a few background stories, I think, things like that really weren't fleshed out by him.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Hopefully that'll fill up the Game of Thrones void.
Yeah, definitely. They've gotten the blessing of like the Tolkien family to kind of like break new ground, and so
Great.
I'm very excited personally.
That's cool. I hope they get some good writers that can, live up to that level. I hope to write it. I hope they actually get some authors, somebody who knows the genre, not just a screenwriter.
Me too. I hope it's going to be like as good or better than the Game of Thrones stuff. So it's going to be interesting. So how do you feel like looking back on your journey as a toy photographer has changed? Do you see a lot of improvement? Do you enjoy it more? What do you feel like has changed?
Oh yeah, I've definitely improved. I hope I've improved. Early stuff. I heard you talking about this with somebody else. I don't remember who it was, but Captain Matt, Captain Chaos, and I got into a thing one time. I think I was on, I think it was the Epic Toy Art chat, and
Yeah.
we were just talking about how you should never go back in somebody's feed. Like it's almost rude to go back to the beginning of somebody's feed because it's awful stuff. I mean, for the most part, it's pretty bad. I would say there's some clunkers in there, but yeah, definitely improved. And I think I've focused. Um, I've focused a lot more on lighting, obviously, but you know, I started out as 1/6 too, and now I 1/6 is like every once in a while. I got just a lot of varied interests as far as shooting goes, and I just, you know, just want to do a good image. I just want to make a good image that I'm happy with and is fun, and yeah, but it's definitely grown. Yeah, I've definitely grown. I couldn't say how, but I have grown.
Do you take more time now than you did when you first started?
Yeah, surprisingly, like you think you'd get faster at this, but it's hours, man. I mean, sometimes I think you're pickier,
Hmm.
and I mean, literally, I was doing a Lego setup the other day, and Lego, if you haven't shot Lego, it's great, but there's so many aspects of Lego. There's the fact that they're shiny and they're tiny, they're small, and they're a real pain in the ass to deal with because they're constantly falling over.
Yeah.
And then getting into the set and picking up one figure that's fallen over in the middle of it, you know, could be a real disaster. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and that took me. I mean, I left that setup for 2 days because I shot it for a few, like an hour or so. It took me like an hour to set up. Shot it for an hour, went back to my computer, took a look at the shots, didn't like it, went back, shot it some more, and then I'm like, I gotta walk away because it's not working for whatever reason. And the next day I got it, but it was, you know, hundreds of shots and, you know, 4 or 5 hours into that to get like one or two shots. So
Wow.
it's
I feel
stupid.
like I feel like the people like yourself who, you know, have gotten better and better and better in toy photography, they do take more time and they realize that
Yeah.
it's gonna take at least a day or 2 days or 3 days to be able to get the shot that you want. Because if
Yeah.
you put that time in, then you're able to get a better shot rather than just rushing it and not
Yeah.
taking that time.
I think there's an approach, and some people have said, like, I think I have to take this approach too. I just have to, like, I generally approach it from I've got an idea in my head, and I can, you know, having done creative work for my entire life, I can kind of picture what I want. You know what I mean? So something will pop in and I'm like, okay, I got it. I can look at the angle, I can move it around in my head like I have a camera in my hand and say, ooh, yeah, that would be cool. That'd be a nice composition. The lighting should be like this. And then I can go down and I can set it up the way I've tried to see it in my head, and it could not work at all. You know what I mean? Or something pops up, which I think I have to take more advantage of. Just like, hey, let's be a little freer. Let's take the camera off the tripod and let's just move things around and play,
Yeah.
as opposed to just this is the idea I have. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to hammer this until I get it, which can work. I get a shot out of it, but I think I got to play a little more.
Yeah. How often do you like set up a shot and try to get that shot and then have to go back and reshoot it?
Um, it's more often than getting it on the first try generally. I mean, I'll go
Really?
back, and I know a lot of people like out I say outdoor photography. I know you're an indoor guy too. Like outdoor photography, it's tricky, man, because I've done it and I'll go back and it's a crapshoot whether or not you've got something or you've got absolutely nothing for an entire day of shooting outside. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
you can sometimes salvage something, but I'll go upstairs, I'll shoot a bunch, you know, 50, 60 shots. I'll go upstairs, I'll put them in Lightroom, look at them. I might even bring it into Photoshop and partially edit it.
Mhm.
And at that point, go, you know, this guy's got to be over a little more to the left. Or if his hand was just up a little bit more, and that I'm just going to go do that.
Yeah.
I mean, literally take the shot with me and look at it and go, okay, move that guy's arm up about a half an inch and this and that. And so often I'll go back and reshoot. I rarely get something on the first try.
So I'm curious. I've always kind of wondered this about you. Like, when do you know that you have the shot that you're ready to post? Like, when do you know? Is it just a gut feeling, or like when you've done it a million times? How do you know?
Yeah, it's a gut feeling. Like if I look at it and I go, "Ooh, I really like this." Like you can be really excited about it. Like this is going to be great. Love the shot. Love the way it came out. It just came out, even if it wasn't the way I wanted it, but it just came out really, really well.
Yeah.
You feel good about it. You feel good. When there's that shot. And so many times I've hung on something that I'm like, this is just it's not good enough. But I really want to post something tonight. It's been like 3 days and I really just want to post something. And like, I'm just going to do it. And then you do it and you almost feel like dirty. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. I know it's not good enough. It's all right. But it's like, it could have been so much better. And now I'm going to shoot it in a different way. And I'm going to have to wait 3 weeks to put it up there because it's going to be like the same shot.
Yep. Yeah. It's a weird thing to navigate, especially when you're wanting to post and you have that urge to post because you want that interaction, you want that engagement. And I feel like I've tried to like learn how to navigate the stories and like learn how to use the stories as a kind of a way to temper my need to post.
Yeah.
And to engage, because it's not the same as posting like a new shot, but sometimes you can say, oh, this is what I'm working on and this is something I'm trying to get, the kinks worked out of.
Yeah. But, that's a good way to do it too. And I think more people should be, and I'll be honest, I'm not always open to that either in terms of showing what I'm working on unless I know it's going to work or I'm ready to post it. I've done some lives like that on Instagram, like just here's what I'm shooting, thought you might be interested in how I set it up and we'll see if it works. You know what I mean?
Which I love those. I love those ones that you do. They're amazing. They help so much.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that's the whole purpose of them. And that's the other thing, like just being able to get some feedback from people. I think that's something that we should do more of in the community. And I started a hashtag about a year ago, and it's my fault that I haven't kept up on it. But I think it was maybe it's also my fault that I don't remember what it was. But it was want CC, want creative criticism or creative critique. And some people did take advantage of it, and I was trying to get more people beyond myself to go in there and look at them and give people critiques about the work, because it was a lot of new people newer to the community and to the hobby, and it was as simple as like, well, you took a picture of the Black Panther, but that the leaf behind it is giant, so like look for those things, and just simple stuff. But there were some people who were pretty well versed in this stuff too that used the hashtag, and that was interesting. I put some of my stuff up there. I think some people commented on it. That's an aspect of the ACBA community that I kind of like. You go on the ACBA, and because it's a group that you have to join, you kind of take, I guess, that you take the chance that you're going to put something up and somebody's going to go, yeah, that's nice, but this guy's foot isn't planted. He's not really holding that gun the right way. His walking stride doesn't look right. And they're not brutal, but people will tell you, you think you got this golden shot, and they're like, yeah, it's nice, but. And you're like, But it makes you think the next time more about that, which I think on Instagram, it's a little more, it's supportive, which is great. But I think people are a little more afraid to say, I love this shot. I would have liked to seen him over to the left a little bit more, or maybe if you'd angled the camera, people don't generally say that. It's more just, hey, great shot, or I flick by it if I don't like it. You know what I mean? Which I would rather people say, like, listen, do you like the shot? Or I'm open to criticism. I went to art school, man. We did this all the time. You know what I mean? And it makes you better. You know what I mean? It does make you better.
I agree. I think that's something that we could learn how to navigate better too. Not everybody, I feel like, is as open to criticism as you are. So
No.
that's something we have to learn how to work with too. Is some people really take it personally, man. And I know myself,
Yeah.
I've had to like really separate myself from my work and say, well, they're not attacking me. They're just really, you know, trying to make me a better photographer. And that's something I've matured in myself too.
There's an art to doing that too, which is it's difficult to just throw it up even with the hashtag. I thought it was going to be tricky because some people could be responding to it and be negative and just negative.
Yeah.
Whereas as a creative director, I've learned dealing with art directors, you go in and you go say, "Hey, I love this whole thing that you got going on. I'm not digging the green." You know what I mean? Or something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
find what's great about it, and then you just kind of ease into the what would make this better would be this. And if people are open to it, if they put themselves out there and are open to it,
Yeah.
it can be helpful. But yes, you can't just generally just go up on anybody's post and start, knocking stuff because yeah, they're not going to be too happy about that.
Yeah. How do you find a good balance for your social media to your real life? Like, what do you do to kind of like navigate that?
Yeah, social media takes over your life, man. It really does. And I do social media for, clients that I have as well. So I'm like my entire life is half of my life is social media. Probably all of my life is social media. But it's funny because I'm not really like I've stopped all the aside from toy photography, Facebook, I don't get into personal stuff on there. I don't do personal stuff on Instagram. I don't do personal stuff really anywhere. Twitter a little bit, but not much. So I kind of keep my life out of it, I guess, except for my toy photography life, and that's how I navigate it. So it's pretty much just that stuff, and it's spreading one picture out over multiple spaces and multiple groups and things like that, which I'm sure probably gets annoying to people. I don't know who's going to see something, and you're going to find somebody that you didn't know about, or they find you, and it's so yeah. I try to keep it balanced, but it's hard. It's hard to stay off. You think you're going to miss something, that somebody else has posted. You know what I mean, or that's going on. So it's part of life. It's part of life now. Sadly, better or worse, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's hard. It's very consuming, and especially I think like for me, if I set like an hour where I just go and scroll and I'll be like, okay, this is going to be the dedicated hour that I go through and try
Yeah,
to like see everybody's posts. I do a lot better rather than just like randomly scrolling throughout my day. And I feel like I
yeah.
get a lot more done when I do that. Do you do that? Do you have like a set time or do
Probably. No, that's probably a good policy, though. I guess I would have set times because there's set parts of my day. If I'm having lunch, I might scroll through something. If I'm, you know, eating breakfast, I might do it. I guess my meals,
yeah.
or at night. You know what I mean? You're kind of multitasking, watching TV and scrolling through the feed,
Mhm.
which probably isn't good because you don't give your full attention to things. But there's also the aspect of when you post things, wanting to respond to people who have bothered to comment, which I'm not. I don't have 100% track record on, but I try. I mean, I try, but it literally could be a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying because I get so many comments. I'm just saying like just doing that on IG, doing that on Facebook. Um, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time, and there's a point where you got to like. I want to look at other people's stuff. I want to comment on that stuff. I don't have time to do this. Like,
Yeah.
6 hours a day. I can't do it or I'll never do anything else. So, uh,
Yeah.
you got to strike a balance. And I hope people understand that if you bothered me personally, if you bothered to comment on something, I really, really appreciate it. And I do like all those. I just don't necessarily have time to respond to every comment. I'd love to. I try to, but I don't always.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like if you want to strike up a conversation, like send a DM instead of trying to do it on a photo.
Yeah, and I don't see personally. I don't expect if I leave a comment on somebody, I don't even expect them to beyond just liking the comment to respond to me. They don't. I don't feel like you've slighted me if you haven't responded to my praise of your shot.
Yeah.
I just feel like it deserved praise. You know what I mean? So there you
Yeah.
go.
I agree. I always appreciate it when people comment, and I try to respond too and say thank you. But it's difficult, man, especially when you do the sessions and then like everybody sees your shot and it's like you have like, so many comments, and it's like it is hard to respond to every single one with a thoughtful, heartwarming response.
Yeah, just beyond just, hey, thanks, man, thank you, thanks, brother, thanks. Like, it's like I'd almost rather not have somebody, me personally, respond to the comment with just like thanks, because it feels like, I know you don't have time to respond. It's fine. You know what I mean? I'm sure you read
Yeah.
it, and if I said something meaningful or nice, I'm sure you
Yeah.
took it the right way, and I get it. You know what I mean? But social media is a weird thing, man. Like if you don't, if you don't get that feedback, sometimes you feel like, you slighting me. Did you like that person's photo when they liked yours? Did you comment for comment? You know what I mean? It's like I just can't. I can't do that all the time. I just feel like,
And I think a lot of people don't realize a lot of different people are on this platform from different parts of the world, and there's different social experiences. Like, for instance, you're from New York, and not everybody's going to be as open. The commentary might not be as open, or it may be more open than normal. And
yeah,
so there's a lot of different.
that's an interesting aspect too. Yeah, just the global aspect of this too. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll be like, why is that person always so short on their comments? I'm like, is it just, I'll overanalyze it, and then it doesn't appreciate what they did. But yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
it could just be in English as a second language. I'm amazed that most of the people in the rest of the world can speak and write English as well as they can. That's that's just an amazing thing anyway.
Yeah, definitely. That is one of the things I actually have on my list, is to start working on a second language.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
So do you have any pinch me moments in your journey as a toy photographer where you look back and you're like, oh my God, did that actually happen?
Yeah, yeah. One of them was was a shared experience between you and I, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah. That was the first time I ever spoke to you. I'd say met, because it's a weird thing over social media. Did we actually meet? But yeah, that CNN thing, a couple of years, a few years back now, May 4th, was an amazing thing. Um, we kind of got the idea that it was going to be, and I kept telling my wife, I'm like, I think I might be on CNN.com. I don't know what's exactly happening,
Yep.
but it might be there. And yeah, she woke me up the next morning like, oh my God, it's on CNN. It's on, like, on the homepage. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's so cool.
That's how I discovered your account, actually.
Same here, man. Same here. Yeah.
I was amazed because I was like, when I got the message from him on a DM, and he was so nice. He's like, do you want to be,
Yeah.
a part of the website feature for the May the 4th article? And I was like, well, of course I do. Like,
Do I?
is that really a question?
Right.
But yeah, that was an amazing experience, man. I loved that guy, like getting to talk to him, and I think he still follows me till this
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah. Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
cool guy.
Yeah,
Cool
that was really
experience.
cool. I think everything is centered around either May 4th or Star Wars. Every year I want to do a good May 4th post. And every year I have the same anxiety the week before that I haven't got anything good to do. And that was the first May 4th. I don't even know if I posted anything that year that was like specific to May 4th, but that happened, so that was cool. The year after that, I think I did the shot with the Vader helmet, the poster shot with the Black Series,
Yeah.
which went pretty nuts. Did pretty well, and that's ultimately another pinch me moment. That I did the Star Wars fan awards, which that won, which was really cool. Which I know Jason was talking about. But yeah, I think all of them have really kind of centered around May 4th and those posts.
Wow.
I think it's kind of like what I say, like just the need to get something done quickly is kind of the mother of invention or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like I need to put this together quickly. I literally put that shot together the night before. I cut up the lay address and everything and bashed that together, and it worked out. So it was cool.
That was an incredible, incredible shot, man. That to me is like one of the all-time best May the Fourth shots. Gotta say.
Thanks. Yeah, it was
You're welcome.
fun the way it came out, and yeah, and then you're like, now what do I do?
How do I top it?
Yeah.
I know you've had a Mark Hamill like your shots a few times. Was that
that's another thing. See, it's all
too?
Star Wars. It's all Star Wars. Yeah, that was like so cool. Like the first time it happened was on Twitter. It was an early shot. Like this is where I thought like, oh my God, this could be something. It was when Kenny Baker died, and I did a shot with Kenny Baker, and there's mainly Photoshop of Kenny Baker made out of stars. It was an old shot, so nobody's probably seen that. But he retweeted it from somebody else retweeting it, so it never got back to me in any way. But it's fine. It was just like cool just to have that happen. And then yeah, he liked another shot that I did. I think of one of the I think of him reading to the porgs on Octo or something like that. And it's just like such a weird thing. It's like Mark Hamill. Okay, he was scrolling by and he went, oh, "That's cute." You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
But to us, it's like, "Oh my God!" I think somebody else. Who was it? It's either Richie Noserain or somebody had Robert Downey Jr. Like retweeted something and like,
oh wow,
or liked it or something like that. And it's just like such a small thing for them, but it's like such a huge thing for us. Yeah, so that was another good one. Yeah, a bunch of them. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
It's amazing how social media has kind of shrunk the world in the sense of like people who are celebrities versus people who are us, like normies.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely feel closer to people, and I mean, you see, I think it's a good thing in that respect that you see the human side, I think, of people.
You
Although
know what I'm saying?
there's a mix of like, is that human or is that put on for social media? Because so many people who are, quote unquote, social media celebrities, influencers, whatever you want to call them, you wonder often, is that real? Is that really who you are? Or is this just, is this all put on to sell product?
Sometimes I think maybe it's just like a social media manager it's not even them who's doing it. So I'm always thinking that too.
Oh, now I'm depressed.
Oh, I didn't mean to steal your
I think
thunder.
Mark Hamill actually does his own work. I'm not sure, but yeah, but that's true. I mean, that is true. I mean, a lot of the times they're not even posting for themselves, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Mark does his own. I'm pretty sure he's got enough political stuff on there. I'm pretty sure it's him.
Yeah, I think anybody managing him would tell him not to post half that stuff.
Yeah,
for his own
I'm sure. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We will get right back to the Toy Photographers Podcast. Stay right there. Welcome back, everybody, to the Toy Photographers Podcast. We have Mr. Trevor Williams, a.k.a. 1/6 Shooter, on the line. Thank you so much, man, for being on the episode. I really appreciate everything that you've been talking about today. It's been a joy.
Yeah, same here, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
I always throw this big nebulous question to every guest, but I want to hear what you think is, where do you see yourself and the toy photography hobby in 10 years?
10 years is a long time, but it goes fast. I don't know. I mean, I think I'll still be doing this. It's interesting. I'm thinking a lot about how this works into, how this works into the art world. And it was kind of like, again, we'll talk about ExClue, but like kind of the point of ExClue Collective when Jack started it was to be an art magazine and to really elevate this into, sort of an art form and give it a platform that outside of Instagram and things, and print it and make it look cool. I recently did an art show, local art show, and had a couple pieces in there. And it was interesting to watch people come into the room. I was kind of in the more avant-garde room. We're kind of in we're on an island. I'm on Long Island, so it's kind of seasidey and waterside. So there's a lot of watercolors of the ocean and lighthouses and things like that. And then there's my Kylo Ren and like and so it was jarring. It was some with some other pop art type pieces, but it was interesting to see people come through. And I would just sort of hang over in the corner and I'd watch people look at it and kind of looking at each other going, they couldn't quite figure out what it was. I mean, these were 1/6 figures, so that it wasn't obvious that they were toys necessarily, but so I think people were having a hard time figuring out what they were. So I would walk over and say, hey, they're action figures. And they'd be like, oh yeah. But they genuinely liked the image. You know what I mean? And this was the Breakfast at Tatooine shot that I did with Audrey Hepburn in the cantina, which was one of those things that just came at the last minute after I was shooting the Audrey Hepburn shot images. But so that it was like I picked that specifically because I knew it was going to be an older crowd, and at least it'd be something that they recognized. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Even if they didn't get the whole gist of why she was surrounded by these aliens. But I had this one woman who was an older one, and older than me, saying she came up to me. She's like, "This is art." And she's like, "This was worth coming here for." And I was like,
wow.
And she wasn't nuts. So so I was like, "Wow, that's really cool to hear." Because we all think of this as art, and it's an art form, of course. I mean, anything can be art. You can open a can of soup and it could be art. But how is it accepted into the quote unquote art world? But there's a lot of stuff that I've seen that this approach is. I just don't think it's made the leap into the to the echelon of having a show or something like that, which I'd love to see. I've tried to get something together here locally with some of the guys that are on Long Island. It's very hard to get these places to sort of accept this stuff, and then if you're not willing to outlay your own cash and things like that for it, it gets to be a little pricey. But that's still something that's in the back of my head that I'd really love to do, just to showcase it. So in 10 years, I hope I have a lot less figures because I got way too many things right now. But I really have to pare down. Can't imagine what it's gonna be. I'm gonna be buried in plastic. But yeah, I suspect I'll probably be doing this in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to take me anywhere, if it's going to be a thing that evolves into something else, work related. I'd love to see that. I'd love to do more photography for companies, but that's a finite thing too. You know what I mean? And it's tough to compete when you've got people overseas that can do it cheaper and things like that. So, I would love to do more of that stuff. I don't know if that's going to evolve into it or not, but I'll definitely be doing it just for the enjoyment of it, I think.
Fascinating, man. That is such a cool story about the lady that complimented the art. And I think for this segment, I always want to, just see where people's mindset is and where they're going and where they're headed. So I know fine art is definitely up to the viewer, and people, like you said, like it'd be a tomato can spilled out, and people consider that art. And so there's a lot more to it than just that. So I think in 10 years, man, the sky's the limit, man. I think that we'll see a mainstream acceptance for sure. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's going to have a time, and I'm not sure when that's coming and what the catalyst for that is going to be. It seems like it's poked through with a few things and a few people. I mean, obviously, Sergeant Bananas has been out there. A few things have gotten recognized here and there, but not in a big way, or as as almost a movement. And I hesitate to use these lofty terms like a movement, but it's a hobby that's grown for a lot of people. And I even had my plumber came over one time, and I don't know how I got into talking to this about it, but I ended up showing him what I did. Oh, yeah, because all the stuff's in the basement. That's why. So he comes down and sees all these toys, and I kind of explained to him what all the toys are about, and he's like, "Oh, my kid does that." And he showed me pictures of his like little kid. It's out in the backyard, stormtroopers in the dirt, and I'm like, "Oh, that's great." He's like, "Can you give him some tips?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give him some tips." But so it's like, I think it's more of a hobby that's growing with people who are getting into collecting now, because I think, the collecting aspect is one thing, but you kind of, you take something out of the box, you put it on the shelf, and then what? And
yeah,
with social media, everything's about photography, everything's about video, everything's about, kind of, for better or worse, look what I got. And I think it's just going to become a bigger and bigger thing. So hopefully it does break through. And some of the, the more art type work breaks out and actually becomes, something that's recognized a little bit more.
For sure. Is there a shot that you haven't done yet that I like to call the grail shot, like the bucket shot that you're maybe working on, that you want to hint at, that you're doing anytime soon?
There is always a May 4th shot that I'm thinking about. I try now to think about it ahead of time, because I know that May 2nd is going to come and I'm going to be panicking. So there's a big one that I want to do that I'm not going to get into it, but it's going to be very involved. And I'm going to try and do it practically. And I don't know how that's going to work out. So it may be a mix of things. I don't know. The practicality aspect of it to me is like, is interesting in that I like to see the behind the scenes of that. Like I went to, do you know Felix Hernandez?
I'm not sure.
Check out his work. He's he's like, I had to say a pro photographer, because anybody who gets paid is a pro photographer, but he's done some work for some big companies, BMW, let's say. And a lot of his work is, he will make models. He will weather these models. He got started with cars, but he's also done stormtroopers in the past. And beautiful stuff. A lot of it is composite work. He'll shoot in an environment with like the stormtrooper in the snow, and then he'll composite in like a sky in the background and stuff, But it's beautiful work. And he, like, his whole thing is, he's right from the beginning, smartly done really nicely edited videos of the process of him making the car, building the car, weathering the model car, building the set, putting the car in the set, shooting it, blowing smoke into it, whatever. It's just really nicely done. And he told me, I went to a seminar with him, and he told me, like, that is the thing that if I just put the picture up, people go, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, it's a model. Oh, interesting. That's really nicely done. Great." But them watching you make all that and come together, and the work that's put into it, and how it goes from a model kit to this beautiful picture of a car in an environment that looks real, is the amazing part of it. You know what I mean? So I really like that aspect. I really like the behind the scenes. So, yeah, getting back to your question though, that this is going to be one of those things that if I do this, I'm going to try and do a nice behind the scenes, because it's going to be crazy. And that's what I liked about the Star Wars poster one that I did, that I actually remembered when I remembered to do a behind the scenes. I actually remembered to do that. And I think for the most part, not for the most part, but to some degree, that was what made that take off a little bit, because I did post it with a video of the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so people were like, "Oh, you could have photoshopped Darth Vader's helmet back there." And yeah, that's a good shot. It looks cool. But the fact that it was all one shot, I think, was a little bit more of a thing, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. I cannot wait to see what you're going to do. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I can't wait either. I don't. I still have to get a lot of parts and pieces and figure this out mentally, and it's going to be interesting.
So how do you kind of approach like your shots that you have that you want to do? Like, do you have like a running list of things that's in your head?
Yeah. There's a lot of them, and sometimes you just put stuff down because you wake up, or at some point you're, I don't know, eating lunch and you go, oh yeah, that would be great. And you put it down, and it's one of those things like you go back to and you go, I don't know what I was thinking there. Like that seems off. But I do have a lot of ideas, but I think it's more the stuff that I get done, I think is more the stuff that I like think of and then either immediately get to or get to soon after that, and kind of strike while the idea iron is hot. You know what I mean? Because I think you're more into it. When you go back and I look at some of my lists, sometimes I'll look at something and it'll be like, oh yeah, that was going to be good. Yeah, I got to do that. But more often than not, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, kind of tired of that figure. I took enough pictures of that or something like that. So yeah, it helps. It helps to have. I just don't know how often I've gone back to that well. I think it works better when I have the idea and I just go right to it.
So when you're watching movies, like, do you stop the movie and then like go work on a shot when you're like that inspired the next process of how you're going to do this next shot that you're going to do? Like, because I know like Sergeant Bananas does that a lot. He'll be like in the midst of like watching a Netflix show and he's like, oh wait, I could do this shot. Like he'll stop it and then go shoot. How do you do that?
I don't know if I stop it, but I definitely either take a mental note or take a picture or whatever, or save it. And it can be anything. Like a while back, it was earlier this year or later, towards the end of 2018. I was really, I went to art school. I studied, people like Caravaggio and Vermeer and Rembrandt. You've seen the stuff, but I really always loved that realism and that chiaroscuro style. That really just the light and the dark aspects of that. And I tried some stuff because I was just looking at something and. Actually, it was another photographer, Chris Knight, I think, was doing something on that low-key photography, and he did something, and you should check out his work because it's really, really cool.
Okay.
He uses humans, obviously, but he does this to make it look like an old master painting. It's really, really cool. And I just really wanted to do that. So I did that with a bunch of shots, just, like single lighting or lighting through a window or something like that. So it can be anything. It doesn't have to be pop culture. It doesn't have to be a movie. It doesn't have to be a comic book. It can be anything that just strikes you as, or at least me, as I want to try that lighting. Sometimes it's a portrait that I'll see online and they're using gels in an interesting way. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that with something, something. Mm. So yeah, generally I'll either take a shot of it or mental note or write it down or something. And I generally want to jump up and go do it, but I don't always have the luxury of just going.
Yeah, for sure. So being a veteran, I consider, of the community, what do you think that we can kind of focus on to be a better community?
It's That's
interesting. Or what are we doing right? What are we doing right that we can kind of say, hey, this is something we're doing right? Or what are we doing wrong? It's like, hey, we need to focus on something else here.
Everybody's like super supportive, which is really good. Especially on IG, which is great to see. I really like that aspect of it. And, shout outs, stuff. I do that like once a month. Like I'll collect images, which reminds me I have to do that. Throughout the month that I really like, and I'll put them in a folder or a collection, and shout out to people. But people do that on a regular basis, and I think I'm going to do more of that. Just when I see something, I'm going to call it out as opposed to just saving it up.
Yeah.
But that's great. I love that. So everybody's really super supportive. I think you were talking about with either Tom or actually I don't remember who it was, but just we all pull from pop culture. And if you're doing a scene this is minutia, but a scene that, people have done before, Luke on Dagobah or something like that, or, whatever, raising the X-Wing, everybody's done it. If somebody does it in a specific way though, and you get inspiration from that and you go and do it, credit that person, just say that you took some inspiration, and generally people are pretty good about that. But there's a few things here and there that I've seen that I'm like, wow, that's a total ripoff of somebody else's shot. You know what I mean? And that's not
Yeah.
cool. But that's a minor aspect, and it doesn't happen all that much. What else could we do? I don't know. Again, I think I'd like to see. Again, the creative criticism is up to the person. You can't put that on anybody who doesn't want it. You have to be open to that. But I would love to see that kind of come back. Other than that, I don't know. I love this. I love doing this. I'd love to see more podcasts and more video chats with people and just talking about the work. You know what I mean? I really loved at one point, somebody, oh God, who was it? Oh, I can't remember who was doing it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Deconstruct my photo or deconstruct my shot. You remember that?
Oh yeah, the Instagram account. Yeah.
Is that Greater Beast?
It might have been.
Yeah, and somebody else that I apologize for not remembering, but it was really cool because they would take a shot that they picked and they would literally break it down. And it wasn't like a criticism. It was like, why does this shot work? You know what I mean? And it could be the golden ratio is used here, or they're using, the 2/3, 1/3. They're using, whatever it is, the grid, or they're using, a great contrast in this shot and examples of other things. It was so good, man. I really loved it. I'm sure it was a lot of work, and I think they just kind of let it, as things do, it just kind of faded away. But I really loved that because they really knew their stuff too, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love that too. I remember specifically that account. That was something I learned a lot of.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from, and I think that would be excellent to see that return. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I like that. I liked We Shoot Toys also was doing at one point a long time ago a thing on YouTube called Friday Night Likes, and it was, he'd pick 6 or 7 shots and he would do the same thing. He would take it from a photography standpoint and break down the shot as to why this is working. It wasn't a negative. It wasn't like, yeah, this isn't so good. It was, this is a great shot and here's why. And super helpful, like really great stuff. And I've been thinking about doing something like that soon in some way, shape, or form. So that would be cool.
I think you would be the perfect person to do that kind of deconstruct my shot. I know you probably don't have the time to do it, but that'd be awesome.
We're gonna do something like it, but I think I'm gonna get some help. So look for that. It's something I've been talking with Jack at ExClue about doing another show that I don't have time for on YouTube. But I'm gonna do it. I really want to do it because I think it would be fun. And not just me blathering on about, what I don't know, but, having some other people come in and maybe give some points and stuff. So that would be great. I'd love to see more people who are kind of, people who are breaking ground and, are sort of the people who are coming into it, look up to, sort of, give some more tips and tricks. And it's one thing to have them, DM them. And I know, people DM people like you and Tom and stuff, and we're happy to go and talk to people and give them tips and tricks and things like that. But it would be nice on a grander scale and a bigger scale, just that people could tune in and see something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of my goal for like one of the goals for the toy photography hub that I wanted to do was to kind of have like a mentor moment where you have like a Sunday or a Saturday where you get one of the guys like yourself or Richie or Jason and just be able to have them come in and do like an hour or 2 hour breakdown of like, what's the process? How do you do it? From start to finish. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the people who know, like Jesse, who know how to blow stuff up and, teach you how to do that. 'Cause that's not really my thing either. I'd like to know that.
Yeah. For sure. So let's talk about your ExClue stuff. Like, what's going on with that?
ExClue's doing well. It's a lot of work, and I commend Jack for doing 80 to 90% of. I'd say 90% of it. I throw in every once in a while, but it's cool. It's become It's become a thing. It's evolved from an art book, which is basically what he started it out as, to more of a pop culture news, well, collectible news hub. So we started this thing called the directory. We're calling the directory that is going to allow people, anybody from diorama makers to figure customizers to people who make clothing like CJSM and retailer, people who sell toys, people who have photography equipment that could be utilized for toys like LumaCube or Lytra or whatever. And it's going to be one big directory for all that. You can drill down, like I want to see all the diorama makers because, we all know some of the people who do this stuff, but there isn't one place where you can go to find, like, if I want a diorama made, who can do this for me? And, you could DM this guy and he might say he's busy. Where do I go from there? You know what I mean? So it's just going to be a nice place for all this stuff to be found, you know what I mean? In one place. So we're trying to do some more stuff like that. Recently we're going to be doing another 100 project. We did one last year. So we're featuring 100 toy photographers in a printed magazine. And last year we did it on like a first come first served basis, and people were a little upset that they didn't hear about it right away, so they didn't get in. This year we did a completely random choice. We had a few hundred entries, and we picked 100 people randomly from that. And every year, if you're in it, you can't be in it the next year. So there'll be another 100 people next year if we do it, which is cool. But you get to see your work in a printed magazine with your bio. It's beautiful. I mean, Jack does beautiful design work with these magazines, and it's just a really cool thing to have on your coffee table, on your desk. Give it to your mom so she knows you're not wasting your time in the basement or outside shooting toys. So it's going to be really nice, and it's going to focus on a lot of different people that we do know, people that are just starting out. Everybody gets a shot, so it's really nice. Yeah.
That is awesome. I cannot wait for that directory, and I can't wait to see that next issue of ExClue. That's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be really nice.
So, do you have anybody, or let me rephrase that. Do you have any tips for people just starting out doing toy photography that want, to hear some advice from you?
Yeah, I would say don't discount traditional photography. I mean, if you just want to jump in, pick the stuff that you love. Obviously, that's the stuff you collect. Maybe try to recreate a scene. Look at the lighting in a scene and try to figure out what that is, where that's coming from. Is there a light behind this person? Is there a light on this person's face? A lot of that comes with learning about lighting. So that's why I say don't discount traditional photography or traditional photography tutorials. There's tons of stuff on YouTube that you can go and just look at portrait lighting and the different ways to light a portrait of a human being. That's going to help you immensely when you go to light, because I know that's the first thing that people have problems with. They'll put a black backdrop, a foot behind a figure, throw a lamp on it, and they wonder why it looks like he's, in a lineup or something. You know what I mean? It's like there's a huge shadow behind him, and yeah. All this stuff is explained. There's just not a lot of it done specifically for toy photography, but it's all photography. So go to the traditional sources, look at that stuff, and you are going to learn a lot about, how to just set up lighting. The explosion stuff you'll have to go somewhere else for, but but the lighting is key. You know what I mean? That is the main problem that everybody has right off the bat. They're just throwing a light up and above the figure and getting harsh shadows, and they don't know about bouncing light. They don't know about, filtering light, directing it. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to be learned from traditional photography. So I would say go on YouTube and look up some traditional photography portrait tutorials. That's another tip I think I'd give people, is just, if you're going to do a picture, make it tell a story. It's fine to do just the heroic poses and things like that, but I find it much more interesting when people are telling a story. And you'll notice that the bigger accounts and the people who are really getting the accolades are doing something that makes you look at it for a longer period of time than just here's that figure, standing on a rock, with smoke around it or something like that. It's a little more interesting in that there's something going on. Not that there's anything wrong with that either, or just a portrait shot too. But the storytelling is a big part of it. You look at people like, I think somebody who does it in a great way is Bale Moraldo.
Oh yeah,
like, it's funny, and he's one of the, I'd say one does that at least on a regular basis. But he's always telling a story, and it's always funny. It's always great. But that's a big aspect of it. Don't just try to work into a story. Try to become a director, like we were just talking about earlier. Director of your own film. You can literally be a director of your own film with these things. You've got the actors, you've got the lighting. Tell a story.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, there you have it, man. Now is that time of the show when I just like to open up the mic and allow you just to kind of say whatever you want to say, man. So if you want to give a shout out to your followers, people that connect with you, it's up to you. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I'd love to say thanks to everybody who bothers to follow this goofy stuff that I do. It makes it, obviously a lot more fun. I know you've talked to other people about, would you do this if it wasn't for social media? And the answer is probably yes, but maybe not as much. Or would it be as enjoyable? I mean, we're all artists, but, people create art for the beholder of the art. You know what I mean? You create art to get that creative need out of you.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately you want to share it, and you want other people to experience it, however they experience it, hopefully enjoyably. But that is the ultimate, kind of the ultimate goal. It's at least part of the goal. You know what I mean? You enjoy the creation, but then you want to share it with people. So it's great that everybody can find this stuff in one place. And I really appreciate everybody who comments and like stuff, because it does mean something. You know what I mean? The likes don't mean as much. It's nice, but it's nice when somebody gives you a thoughtful comment on something. Something I'm telling myself I need to do more of, because I'll sit there and look at stuff and go, wow, wow, this is an amazing shot. I love the light coming in over there, and I love the way he did. And it's going to take, I can't write all that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to write like a paragraph or two about this image, which is another reason that I kind of want to do this forum type thing that I'm talking about, so that I can delve into verbally some of the stuff that I'm thinking about, these images that I love, and just don't have the time to type up in a cohesive manner. But I mean, people appreciate that. That's what it's all about. I mean, it's not about the likes, it's not about the followers. That has its place, in certain aspects of this, but that's what's great. People share things. People say, look at this great piece of work that somebody's done, and that's what it's all about.
Definitely, man. I wholeheartedly agree. Where can people connect with you on social media if they're not familiar with your work?
I am at 16shooter on Facebook and Twitter, and I think Flickr, if anybody's still on Flickr. I still put stuff up there. It looks great on Flickr. I'm sorry nobody's on there. I am on Instagram at 16_shooter. Still can't find that person who's 16shooter. And I have a 16shooter.com, and I'm on ExClue doing reviews and photography there too as well.
Awesome, man. I want to say thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate all the gems and the wealth of knowledge that you have, and I know people are going to really appreciate this episode. So thank you, man.
Thank you. I hope there was some little bit of knowledge there.
Yeah, dude, of course. And you can find me at Dagobah_days. You can find the Mezco 112 Collective feature page at 1.12.collective. You can find the Toy Photographers podcast at ToyPhotoCast. You can find the Star Wars feature page that I run at Star Wars Toy Picks. And remember, everybody, we are storytellers. Get out there, tell your story, tag ToyPhotoCast, tag everybody, tag 1/6 shooter. Let's communicate. If you heard this episode and it meant something to you, send us a DM. Let's talk. So thank you so much for listening, and have an excellent day. Peace.